Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. I'm your host, Jerron Harrington, back to hit you with another video. And today, we are going to be continuing One Piece, Rangers of the Sea, based on the Heroes of the Morphing Grid series, Part 7. But as always, if you are a fan of the channel and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcasting stats to come out now and in the future. With us now going into Part 7, we are less than 2 parts away from the conclusion of this series. Now, this was only supposed to cover up the lead up to Marineford, which would lead into the main crossover story. And I know that many of you are going to be asking, will the One Piece Rangers of the Sea story continue into the other arcs going into the future? Well, both yes and no. Yes, in the sense that I do want to do more One Piece content, but right now I'm still trying to catch up with the series as a whole. Right now, I'm on the Punk Hazard arc, currently watching that in the anime form. So I've made some good distance, but I've still got some ways to go. And also, I do want to take a break from doing Power Rangers themed stories after the crossover event. So I might not come back to it for a while, but I do have stuff that I would like to see done in the future, mainly because there are other stories that you can tell with the Power Rangers series. Also, since there are a lot of changes that will be taking place in this timeline of One Piece, there are going to be a lot of different movements that will basically affect the One Piece world in a lot of ways, so that's something to keep in mind as we go forward. Also, going into next week, there are going to be a few videos in particular that you might want to keep an eye on. Monday and Tuesday, we are going to be doing a special recap video for both of our multiversal stories, basically recapping all of the stories that are connected in both the Power Ranger and the Marvel series, so that you can get an overview of everything that's going to happen leading into the main crossover event. On Wednesday, there's not going to be a video, mainly because I'm going to probably be recording a lot that day and getting everything in preparation for Thursday and Friday when we do the mega crossover event. And then from there, I'm going to be taking a bit of a break, since I will have basically covered all of my stories, everything from March till now, which was the last time that I took my break. I've basically been on this grind ever since, so that's going to be a well-deserved break from me, just to stop with all the writing and try to come up with some newer ideas. But when I come back, we'll be starting fresh with a new slate of videos, so keep that in mind in the upcoming weeks. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into today's video. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. As Chopper crashed down on the island that he had been sent to, the little reindeer had seen better days. Of course, he had been through his own fair share of heartaches and trials, but even more so, he was grateful for the friends that he had met, for the adventures that he had been on so far, and the ones that were yet to come. However, though, he did run into a bit of a problem. Well, they all did. And it all started at Sabaody, when they pretty much got destroyed by the Marines, and Kuma, one of the warlords, basically ended up sending the Straw Hats on yet another adventure. But now time was not on their side, mainly because they only had but a certain amount of time to find what they were looking for, and then to rendezvous at Marineford with their captain, Luffy, hopefully to save Fire Fist Ace from his execution. Of course, for Chopper, the idea of finding this new form of power, well, it excited him. Of course, he had no idea what it would be, what it would entail, but for now, the only thing that he could focus on was finding whatever this Sailomorpher was. Unlike the other Sailomorphers that you had seen before now, this one was going to be a bit different. For one, it was in the shape of a gun/pirate wheel, so that was unique in and of itself. And this power was going to be different from the others. Not that all of them would be different, but some of them would be unique. Special features that only certain Straw Hats could use. And for Chopper, he was in charge of finding the Gokaiger wheel. The Wheel Gold Morpher. Assuming that he would be able to locate it. Even with the image he had been given from Kuma, he wasn't told exactly where it would be. As he found himself wandering through the island, trying his best not to be scared of every little thing that came his way, the one thing that mainly ended up distracting Chopper was the sight of some animals nearby, ones that didn't look like they were doing all too well. Chopper decided to take time to help treat them, his instincts as a doctor overriding any other form of fear that he might have. When it came to being a doctor, that was in Chopper's expertise. It was something that just came over him naturally. His years studying under his teacher, first Hiraluk and then Kureha, he had learnt much in the study of medicine. After all, it was his goal to be able to cure any sort of ailment in the world. That was his dream. And now he was putting it into use, helping these creatures in any way that he could. The more he continued the journey through the island, the many more of the sick and injured that he found. They all suffered from various forms of ailments, each one different but unique in its own way. Thankfully, Chopper was able to gather some supplies, finding cures as well as helping in other aspects. He wondered what could have caused all of this, and even more so, he wondered why no one had been around to help them. Maybe this island didn't have any humans and there was no one to watch over them. All the same though, Chopper did what he could. However, unfortunately, the more work that he did helping them, the less time that he had spent looking for the device that he had come for. As a result, before long, he had eventually found himself wasting a lot more time than he had cared to have wanted to. Before long, he was eventually able to find one last animal. It was a white fawn. It lay in the middle of the forest in an open clearing. It seemed as though it were suffering from the severest of ailments of all of the other animals. Chopper found himself having to do the most work in helping this one. It took almost every bit of his expertise, but eventually he was able to work some miracle. As he stopped to rest, putting his back against one of the trees for shade as he looked to take a bit of a nap before hoping to continue his journey, the fawn of whom he had helped would slowly start to stand. As it did so, it would transform into that of a beautiful woman in a lovely white gown. As she walked over towards Chopper, she would kneel before him and hold him in her arms, allowing for the young humanoid deer to get some much-needed sleep. Before long, Chopper would awaken, finding himself in the arms of the beautiful girl. He would quickly become very shy and bashful, running to try to hide himself, only he wasn't very good at it, only half of his head being hidden behind a bush and the rest of it, well, out in the open. The girl would simply smile and giggle to herself as she stood and walked towards him, promising that everything was alright, and that she was actually grateful. It was she that had been healed by Chopper, and she wanted to express her thanks. Chopper was a bit confused, wondering how on earth he had helped her when he had actually helped that fawn, but she revealed that she was indeed the fawn that he had saved, and that she had transformed into her human state. This caused Chopper to have many more questions. Had she eaten a devil fruit and turned into an animal by chance? Or was she an animal that ate a devil fruit and turned into a human instead? Which was actually his case, since he had ended up eating the human fruit. At this point, it really didn't matter. But what was important was that she was safe. She had revealed herself as Dimitri, and that she was the guardian of the animals on this island. But they had been stricken with a plague a while ago, and sadly there was no one here that could have been able to help them. Chopper, learning of this, well, he was just happy to help and do what he could. As he was wishing to bid her farewell, she asked what Chopper were doing here. Chopper explaining that he had actually been sent here from somewhere far away, and that his main reason for coming was, well, he had been sent to find something. He explained what a Sailomorpher was, but even more so, he explained that he was in a bit of a rush, and not that he meant to be rude, but he had spent more time here than he had really planned on doing so. He had no idea where to look, and he had no idea if he was going to be able to find what he had come for. Although, thankfully, Dimitri, being grateful for the help that Chopper had given, she actually knew exactly what Chopper had come for. Being the guardian of the island, it was her job to keep its treasure safe. She would ask Chopper to follow her. As he did so, the two would make their way through the island, until eventually they came to a new section, another garden if you will, surrounded by golden flowers, and in the center, sitting on top of a stone, was a treasure chest. Within the chest, Dimitri would pull it down for Chopper, allowing for him to open it, and to find what he had been looking for. It was the Morpher. He had so many questions, wondering how on earth Dimitri had gotten a hold of it, and why was she the one that was guarding over it? Dimitri would explain that long ago, before she was born, the person who had that Morpher brought it to this island, and it was within her family's duty to keep it safe until someone that they believed who was worthy of it would come and claim the power for themselves. Of course, though, no one had ever come to claim the power, and even for the few who had, they always had selfish intent when doing so. However, she could sense from Chopper that he indeed was pure of heart, and that anyone were capable of using it for its righteous deeds, then Chopper would be the one to do so. Chopper was a bit shy hearing all of this. After all, he didn't think that he was anything all that special. But still, if she believed he were worthy, then he was thankful. But now that he had what he had come for, there still lied the issue of how on earth he was supposed to use this thing. That was when Dimitri explained that there was also one other thing that she was instructed to do. There was actually a certain way that the person was supposed to use the Morpher, and it was a bit of a ritual dance. Of course, Chopper, having, well, the feat that he did, wasn't sure if dancing was for his speed, but Dimitri promised that he could get the hang of it. It would take at least 3 days to learn to dance. Thankfully, Chopper had at least 3 days to spare, and so the two would get to work. Dimitri would demonstrate the dance needed to use the Morpher and its power, and Chopper would try to follow. Of course, with his little legs, he would trip over himself from time to time, but with the human fruit, he was able to get a better holding of how he stood. Together, the two would practice the dance, day and night, until eventually on the third day, all the animals gathered to watch as Chopper would perform the morphing dance. He was a bit embarrassed with the whole crowd watching him, but after all of the help that he had been given, the least he could do was try now. Chopper would spin the wheel of his pirate morpher. Then, clicking it onto his hips, he would do a little dance, his legs swaying and moving back and forth. He seemed very happy and energetic about doing so, before doing the final twist and turn and pointing it straight into the air. As he pulled the trigger, a golden light would shine upon him. As he morphed and transformed, his body had changed in a way he wasn't expecting at all. You see, in Chopper's morphed form, he would actually turn into a full-on human, at least on the outside, since on the inside he was still a reindeer after all. His ranger form was that of the Golden Pirate Ranger. In fact, even his helmet was similar to that of his antlers in a way, even appearing in the right spots. For Chopper, he was completely thrilled and overjoyed at seeing what he had, and what he had managed to accomplish. He couldn't believe that he was actually as tall as some of his own friends now. But even more so, he could feel the power that was now within him. He had looked to where his bag had been for his rumble balls, but he no longer had them. However, Dimitri would explain that the power of gold was a lot different than many of the other powers. For one, unlike the others that had come before him, the Gold Ranger didn't actually need to use Ranger keys to obtain legendary powers, but instead he had legendary modes that took the form of his rumble balls. The rumble balls would appear in his belt buckle, and they would change into a key. He would take the rumble key and turn it inside of his Sailor Morpher. After doing so, he would then gain the power-up that he needed. There was the Zeo Rumble Ball, the Samurai Rumble Ball, just among to name a few. Of course, there was much more that Chopper would need to explore with these new different Rumble Balls, on top of using his main Rumble Ball points to transform when needed. But for now, he had gotten what he had come for, and he could set his sights on meeting with his friends once again. However, there was one small issue. He needed to get across the ocean, and he couldn't swim. However, Dimitri would explain that he actually could. As long as he stayed inside of the suit, and the suit didn't get any holes or anything like that, he could go into the water safely. Hearing this, Chopper felt like a kid on Christmas Day, as he ran out into the ocean, being able to run around in the water and swim without worrying about the effects of his devil fruit causing him to drown. It was more than he could have ever asked for. Now he could finally swim in the ocean along with his friends, even if he did have to wear a suit, which was fine with him, since he didn't like to get his fur all wet whenever he wasn't taking a bath or anything like that. So for Chopper, this was actually a pretty good win for him. However, even with this newfound joy, Chopper still had the issue of finding a way to travel through the waters. However, Dimitri would have him covered on this, as she gave out a call to the sea. From out of nowhere, from off in the distance, a sea creature would come moving over towards the shoreline. As Chopper got a closer look, he realized that it was a dolphin. Now knowing that he had been able to speak with animals, Chopper would speak with the dolphin answering that it had come on behalf of Dimitri. Dimitri explained that she needed a favor, to help take Chopper to where he needed to go. The dolphin agreeing to this would allow Chopper to hop on his back, as they would race and make their way towards Marine Ford. Chopper promised that he would get off before they got too close, so that his new friend could be safe. And with their agreement, Chopper would wave goodbye to the island folk, as he pressed on and moved forward. Now having achieved the power that he needed, all that was left was to reconvene with his friends, as the Battle of Marine Ford drew ever closer. This concludes One Piece Rangers of the Sea, based on the Heroes of the Morphing Grid series, Part 7. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is Power Core Productions and Podcastings that's to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue with One Piece Rangers of the Sea Part 8. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with Power Core Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.